Hello, and welcome to Save Your Bacon, an advice comedy podcast where we think we're helping. My name is Will.
And my name is Zane, and just to show you how much we care, we have paper master degrees in therapy taped loosely to our walls so you can tell that we're both professional and self-sufficient.
Yeah. You know, I actually have a little story for us of an interesting thing that happened this week. I have a friend of mine, shout out to Jake Edwards, who approached me in the halls of our university this week, and he said, Will, where do I send in questions? And I said, Jake, do we not make it obvious enough to where we send in questions? And the answer eventually was no. And this isn't just a bag on Jake, but he said, I have a question for you. And I say, okay. And he said, do you want to hear it? And I said, well, I could read it, but yeah, why don't you just give it to me?
Yeah.
And he said, okay, who would win, 1 trillion lions or the sun? And I'm not trying to ask this as an advice comment. I'm not trying to ask this as an advice question because it's not. And I think that was my response of just like, Jake, we could talk about this all night, all day long. And he's like, but really, who would win? I'm like, no, I get it. Like, he's like, I bet you're going to say the sun. I'm like, Jake, I'm not going to say the sun. That's not what I'm trying to tell you. It's not advice. Like, it's an advice podcast. I'm like, do you listen to it? He's like, yeah, I listen to it. But who would win? I'm like, Jake. He's like, I know it would be the lions. And I said, why? Why would it be the lions?
Why?
He said, because they could attack at night. So shout out to Jake. We're not going to talk about it because there's nothing to say. It's more of just an anecdote. That's my story. That's all I wanted to say. We can go right into questions. I can start off here. We actually have a really nice question from Annie Wagner. Thank you again, Annie Wagner.
Thank you.
For your participation in our program. Annie says, I'm 5'2" tall, and I often find myself feeling insecure about how much shorter I am than my friends. For example, if I'm taking a group photo, I have to stand on my toes so I can seem like I'm the same height as them. Plus, it is much harder to intimidate them when they're at least a few inches taller than me. How can I make myself grow taller? If this is not possible, how can I trick my friends into thinking I'm taller without them becoming suspicious? Thanks.
There are already so many parts that I want to touch on here. First on, why do you need to trick your friends into thinking that you're taller? Second off, why don't we just focus on how, instead of making you taller, somehow making your friends shorter?
Yeah, you know, the first thing I thought of when I read this was I've always heard the idea of you can put a brick on your head and just kind of tape it there or whatnot, and after time it will just weigh you down and make you shorter. I don't know how much time that would be.
I don't need a brick to weigh me down. I have
friends.
plenty weighing me down already, Will.
I have plenty of emotional baggage just weighing me down already. Yeah, you could wait until your friends' birthdays and each at different times get them an artisan brick and say it's for your head. And it comes with like a nice head strap, like a cute bonnet with a bow on top.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it could be like it comes with a couple of like doodling pens, and you could make it like decorated however you want.
It's like a whiteboard for your face.
Yeah, it's like Doodle Bear. You remember those?
I remember Doodle Bear.
Yeah, Doodle Bear. I think that's the name of it. It's like a Doodle Bear, but a
Good
brick.
Doodle Bear.
It's kind of Doodle Bear plus Pet Rock for your head, so that they're shorter.
Honestly, first thing that came to mind, and I think it's the ultimate solution to anybody that wants to be taller. It's immediately what I thought of when I heard, oh, you're short and you want to be taller. Do you remember moon shoes?
Oh, do I remember?
Little trampolines for both your feet. Individual trampolines.
I had moon shoes. Me and my sister both asked for moon shoes for our birthdays, and they were pretty similar, like like they were pretty close. And so we both got moon shoes, and I think I was probably 10. And I was both too overweight, and my feet were just too large that it just didn't work. And with all the rubber bands tied to it, my feet went straight to the ground.
No.
I was only like 10, and my sister was just like floating on air, and I was so jealous. But yeah, you could do moon shoes.
Yeah, you could.
You're probably smaller than I was at the age of 10. Oh.
Also, here's another idea. Get very good at Photoshop. And what I'm trying to say is, if you know how to cut yourself out individually in a photo, take a photo with your friends. Sure, you're the short one in the front, but what you do is you cut yourself out and you stretch yourself all the way from the top to the bottom of that photo. And
Yeah,
then,
you ever had any insecurities about your torso or your legs being too small? Well, this is your chance to stretch them right out in post-editing.
yeah, and I'm not just talking like, you know how people do it to change their appearance or the acne or whatever. I'm saying full on, like, you remember those stretch chamber torture machine things that we heard about? Like, where people
magic
used to get
growth pills. That's all
just,
we're talking about.
just imagine that it happened overnight and bada boom, all of a sudden you're the length of Wilt from Foster's Home from Imaginary Friends. Good
Super
reference,
relevant.
Zane.
Yeah.
Everybody
Good
knows
job.
that
A
one.
large red thing with one eye. Yeah.
But then when your friends are like, hey, can you send me the photo that we took? You say, oh, sure. And then you say, sorry if I'm blocking you, by the way, in this photo. I know that I am super tall, and that is sometimes a problem in our photos. And they'll see in that moment, oh, wow, Annie's way taller than I remember. Man, she must be so cool.
Yeah, she's really cool with all this extra growth she has. Idea also, stilettos everywhere. Stilettos literally everywhere. Show up to, like class at an 8 a.m. class and sweatpants and stilettos. And just say, I don't know, it's just my thing. And now not only are you the girl who's not short, you're now stiletto girl. And it's just like, hey, who's that person? Oh, that's the girl who always wears stilettos. Oh, that's pretty cool.
Other idea. This is a very important business, and I'm going to need you to agree that you're on board with this business before I say what it is.
I'm apprehensive, but yes.
Yes! All right, perfect. We start a business where we, and it's going to sound so bad right off the bat, where we sell 2 individual children
So
to
your business is sell 2 children.
to each person that comes by so that they can, one on the bottom, one on the middle, and then you on the top, all in a trench coat. You are always...
We'll name it the other 2/3 of the person you always wanted to be plus a trench coat. It rolls off the tongue. Co.
The end. Company.
Trademark.
Yes, of course. TM.
Yeah.
We don't want anybody stealing that.
The other 2/3 the person you always wanted to be. Congratulations, Annie. You're 8 feet tall, approximately, but you will continue to grow over time because the children are not done growing.
That's the best perk about it. That's what I didn't get to, is that the children are like 7 or 8, and so they're like not even close to done growing. Also, you can finally get into those R-rated movies that you've always wanted to see.
Yeah, you won't get carded for like PG-13 movies and then be asked where your parents are before you have to bring out like your student ID or whatnot. Also, the only downside, it's kind of like buying a puppy, because 10 or 12 years down the road, you will be very sad as the child says, well, I'm a comfortable height, I'm not insecure, so I'm gonna move on with my life, and you're still short.
Wait a minute, though. Do they come back to us for 2 other kids themselves?
Oh, maybe. Oh, yeah, I think we have to give kids that are genetically short to other people.
Yes.
Because as long as there's 3 of you, you're probably going to make up a normal person.
That's true. Or let's say the only huge downside. Yes, somehow there is only one downside to this business scheme, Will. Somehow the only downside to this whole thing is if one of the 2 children that you acquire happens to outgrow you in length over the time that you have been with them, they then get to be the top person, and you have to take their place as the torso or the legs.
Yeah, you're kind of rolling the dice on that if you become the shortest, which is likely since you are doing this because you're short. Sorry about your insecurity about being short, but I still vote for going stiletto girl until we get our business proposition.
That or moon
place.
shoes for sure. And if you
shoes.
happen to be good
Moon
with
shoes is a
Photoshop,
statement.
that'll work. That'll work pretty dang well.
Hey Zane, hit me up with a question you got.
You got it, bud. All right, here's a question. Comes from Reddit user Will Worth. So you might know him because somehow you're both named Will, and everybody
Thank you,
named
Mr.
Will.
Worth.
Yeah, everybody named Will knows each other. Just like Ask Will, he knows Will Smith. The question is, why do I want to fall out of my chair? And the description says, second semester of senior year of high school. and I'm in the first week. I keep having the thought of wanting to literally lean backwards far enough to fall over. I don't exactly know why, but I was tired this whole week. My crush left the school. I had enough of everyone's stupid inputs to stuff at school. For example, I saw this old lady walking a cat on a leash. I was like, WTF. It definitely was a cat. I was 10 to 20 feet away from it, so I could tell it was a cat. Later.
Anything more and I'm clueless.
Later, people were talking about the cat with a leash on it. The girl joins in and says, no, it was a dog. I said, no, it was definitely a cat. She says, if it has a leash, then it's a dog. She was dead serious. I mean, she doesn't make jokes. What kind of ridiculous logic is that? If a child had one of those kid leashes on it, does that make them a dog too? Sorry if I got a little off topic, but that's the kind of people I deal with.
Oh no, it's okay, man.
Could this be that I don't want to see anyone's faces and I can't yell, so I think if I fall backwards it could be a substitute for yelling?
Oh, that's one theory. Wow.
If you need a refresher, the question is, why do I want to fall out of my chair?
Yeah, I mean, you could boil it down to that, but boy, what a rich vein we have mined into.
The gold honeypot here.
Yeah. Okay, so this kind of reminds me, this last weekend, just like a week ago, I was at a wedding, and just like in the audience, not like part of the party or anything, and I had this overwhelming desire to scream.
I get it.
I'm not kidding. Like,
no, I get it.
No, and I think this is kind of what this question is getting at, for just the idea of like, I sat there and I was like, I would just be worried if I was the groom in this situation. Just like, what if one person just loses it or just doesn't care for like 20 seconds and just doesn't stop screaming? And I was like, I could be that person.
I totally get it.
I could do that right here. I could ruin these people's like best day of their life just by starting to scream.
I've had these moments, like if I go to see a musical and people are singing and whatnot, and it gets either to a serious note or whatnot, I always think, what if? Like, what exactly would happen if I stand up right now and say, no, I'm Hamlet.
Stop what you're doing. Stop it.
No,
Stop it, I
please,
say.
Stop what you're doing on the stage, please. And just,
you're a beautiful singer. Stop it. Yeah, I don't know. It's like, why don't people do that?
Well, there's a very good reason people don't do that.
But okay, if I did that at the wedding, what would have happened? People would be mad? Am I going to jail?
If you want...
Am I going to jail for that?
Am I going to...
If I scream at a wedding, am I going to jail?
I just now imagine you stand up and you say, hey, I know the groom. And then a guy in the glasses and the suit comes in and he's like, all right, sir, this is your last one. It just starts pulling you away. He's like, you have the right to an attorney. Everything. They pull you into court and you're trying to defend for yourself and you're pleading not guilty. And then the groom is in the jury and he's just like, no, I was there. Throw this guy in the sack.
Do it. Get him out of here.
And then
what
somebody in the court stands up and interrupts the whole court event going on.
Exactly. Like, you're in a library and you just start screaming. Are you going to get arrested?
Of course not. I hope we don't live in a world where just because you yell where it's not expected that you don't go to jail. There are times that
it's not even like an expectation. It's not like, oh, I was kind of surprised you screamed during that wedding. Like, that's not the only repercussion that's happening.
Hey, Will, I was actually really you caught me off guard there. I just
you spooked me.
Yeah, you really. I was sitting next to you, and then
you spooked me when you started screaming bloody murder in the middle of the vows.
when they said if anybody has any problems with this, speak now, forever hold your peace, and you just stood up and you said, I have no problems with this. I didn't really know if that was necessary, man.
Yeah, exactly. You know, when you said, I have no problem with them being married, I really didn't see the point there. But good job for standing up for yourself.
When you stood up and told us all about your trip to Milwaukee, I thought there was a better time to tell that story. Maybe after the wedding. But you know what? It was a good story, so I'm not really mad. But
I think all of us really took something away from it. So, yeah. Here's the thing: you want to fall out of your chair because you're an adrenaline junkie, and I think that's honestly it. I think you're bored of class, and I think you're like, okay, I do this in classes also, where not like where I want to scream, because when I'm in school class I don't want to do that as much, but I will like shake my head. I will like violently shake my head, and I've gotten a lot of looks and questions about it, and it doesn't sound normal or cool, and I understand, but I will, because I'd rather look like a fool than fall asleep in class, and that is the alternative, because I think it is. Yeah, and so, like, I think that's it. Maybe, I'm not saying that everything you said before is invalid, and maybe you do just want to scream and need a reason. But in some way, I think you're just, you're 17, 18 years old, you're confused, your parents have decided that their only goal for raising a teenager is just to make it so that you survive these years. You don't really know what you want, and so there's not an easy answer.
If you want close to an easy answer, it seems like you might think a way that I kind of think, which is if your brain is going all over the place, then when you're sitting in an area where nothing exciting is happening, your brain is going to force thoughts of what might possibly cause something exciting to happen. Such as if the event of somebody just falling out of their chair were to occur, what would start happening around you? And I think the weirder question right now is, let's say you fell out of your chair right now. Nobody around you cared. Nobody flinched. Teacher kept talking. Class kept going. Then how would you feel?
Then who's the idiot?
Would you have felt satisfied falling out of your chair, or would you not feel satisfied because the scene hadn't erupted into something new? That's the real question. Are you looking for the attention of like a new moment, or are you just really interested in how it feels to fall out of the chair?
Because you can do that alone, so it makes me wonder when you need to do it in class. Yeah, I agree. Totally. I think we can check that off as a big help. I have another question. I think this is a good one.
Hit me with it.
I think you'll like this. This comes from Jake Edwards, the same creator of our Chilean Alliance.
I love you, Jake.
Versus the Sun. I mean, we didn't even need to talk about it because he just gave us the perfect answer. Jake Edwards asks, if you cut off your own arm and eat it, do you lose weight or stay the same?
Oh, my God.
Think about it for a second. Ponder.
Let
it sink in. You are a sponge. You are a mighty, mighty sponge.
Well, it's a very important question. It's a very simple answer. The answer being, is this an exercise routine? Do you do this often?
Yeah, the question is, you didn't specify, are you a gecko? If you're a gecko, this might be different.
Are you like a salamander, and it's just like you're...
detach their tails.
Yeah, it's going to come back, and this is part of your routine.
And eating it is just a part of the process that you're not sure whether eating it is what causes you to get your arm back, but you don't want to risk it.
Well, let's argue for both sides here right now. I'm gonna force us on the sides.
What sides? Salamander and human?
I'm gonna force us onto both sides.
Is Jake a salamander?
Let's put right here. You tell me why it's losing weight, and I'll tell you why it's staying the same. Go.
Okay. I'm losing weight?
Yeah.
You're going to lose weight because first, you're going to lose a lot of blood. And unless that's kind of part of the whole mixture you're making, maybe it's just like you this is going to get graphic. You put your arm in a blender, that's how you lost it, but that's also how you created a nice, tasty meal.
Oh, okay.
And so everything is just kind of encapsulated in this little blender jar you got going here. Slurp that right up. And it's a lot of lean protein, depending on who you are. Maybe you're not. Maybe it's not lean protein. Maybe it's not lean at all. Maybe there's a lot of body fat in there. But I hear it doesn't all stick in there as long as you take one big meal. And so it'll probably just pass through, and you'll get some bad indigestion. That's my best get. You won't take it all in.
I know that you're gonna stay the same though, and here's why. Will I know I'm gonna. I know you're gonna stay the same.
But here's the thing. Go ahead.
Here's exactly why. You gotta keep in mind, Will, when this guy eats his arm and takes it off, he's He's asking if he's going to lose weight or stay the same, and he's not saying just because he ate his arm. He's asking in the long run. Now, you got to remember, in the long run, obviously, this guy is going to go find his own version of Merle Wizard, and the guy is going to give him a potion that he's going to put on, and it's not going to grow back a new arm. It's going to grow back what kind of looks like a serpent tentacle, like an octopus tentacle.
Different, stronger arm, bigger, better arm.
It's definitely different. It's definitely not better. It's
not as dexterous, not 5 fingers. But pros, one large tentacle.
Also, when he's
suckers.
When he's underwater, he can grab things pretty well.
Yeah, that's a pro. You have to hydrate it. Lots of lotion.
Yeah.
For this new serpentine arm of yours. But like I said, extra reach. You'll be a fencing god. But you'll have extra reach. Yeah. Very sticky. Can grab many things at once. I'll grab the stapler, the pencil, and my laptop all in one swoop. These are the pros of taking off your arm, and because of the visit to the wizard, you're gonna stay the same because you're gonna eat it. It'll pass through.
You gotta.
Do I got it wrong? Here, take over.
In the whole grand scheme of things, mentally you're gonna stay the same because in the situation you're going into eating your arm with the same goal in mind as you had from the get-go.
Yeah, you ate the energy that you have taken off. It's a net zero operation. You take off energy, you consume the same energy. You are the same still. Don't worry about it. Boom.
Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
So I think the answer to your question...
Your advice is cut off your arm.
The answer to your question is you're gonna lose weight and you're gonna stay the same and don't worry about it. And also cut off your arm.
The advice is don't worry about it.
Also, please cut off your arm.
Please cut off your arm. I'm very satisfied with that. Sealed the cap. Nice and tight. Go ahead, Zane. You're up next.
Okay. Okay. This is another question from Reddit. Comes from Reddit user I-download-car. So I downloaded a car. Yeah. Reddit user, thank you. And the question, I just made this connection.
You can't just start dying before you
I
read
just
the
realized
question.
This is the problem with having read the question first. And the question is, legally, what would happen to me if I modified a car to be driven with an Xbox controller and then drove it like that?
Legally...
There's a description. Also, I'm referring to this as an American.
Thank you. I'm only really current on American law, so glad we cleared that up.
And if the answer happens to be nothing, what would happen if you gave the controller to somebody sitting in the passenger seat to let them drive? Surely you can't actually be allowed to do this, though. So,
okay.
I downloaded a car, wants to know if you're allowed.
Download a car,
if you're
put it on an Xbox controller, and drive it while sitting in the car?
As an American.
As an American. I would say legally. That's the lens we're viewing this whole thing through. Legally, do you still have a steering wheel, or is it just all a big Lego car? Because that's kind of what I'm envisioning right now. It's a big Lego car, and your steering wheel is non-existent because you just kind of popped it off with the easy removal that Lego allows you to have. So that you can have more room for your little Xbox controller.
I'm imagining in the movie Cat in the Hat when the cat and the two kids are all in the front seat and the cat hands them all steering wheels, so all three of them have a steering wheel to drive the car. So now the man in the driver's seat has a steering wheel, but the man in the passenger seat has an Xbox controller that works just as well as the steering wheel. I want to know, can you drive as well in racing games like Forza and whatnot in real life, or can you, like, is it just going to be really bad, like you're going to try to do a very sharp turn and you're just going to flip the car and you're going to say, well, I shouldn't have done this?
I mean, I don't want to get too far down this vein, but Zane, how many games have you played where you can actually not crash into another vehicle after 5 minutes of driving?
Are you saying where I'm not allowed to, or where I really want to? Because if we're going down...
that's a question also. Are you going to be too tempted as soon as you get the controller?
Yes, that's exactly where I was going with this. If it's now, you're implying that this is real-life GTA, and with the Xbox controller, you're definitely going to forget that it's not just a game, and you're going to see a car, and you're going to say, I'm thinking about crashing into that one, and then you're...
And maybe I'll throw the dude out of the car and steal his afterwards.
You unplug your Xbox controller at the red light, you run over to the car that's next to you.
Throw the man out.
You're banging on the window with the Xbox controller. You're pointing at it like, get out of the car. And he's, I don't know what's going on.
Just pointing at your Xbox controller
I don't know what's going on.
Like some weapon.
You run into the passenger seat. And he's like, what the heck's going on? Get out of my car. You plug it in. You start driving his car.
Sir, what are you doing? Get out of the way. I've got gaming to do.
Mom wouldn't let me game inside today, so today we're gaming outside.
Yeah.
Wait, the real question is, are you a rebellious teenager?
Oh, have you seen the question? Have you read the question? This is most definitely somebody who's just so ready to take their driver's test for the first time and know that since they're in like a Mario Kart god that they're gonna ace it.
No, I'm thinking they walk through the DMV, they go through the whole process. They're like, all right, Matt, yes, that's sorry. I downloaded a car. Yep, that's me over here. Please come on.
I'm sorry, I saw the legal name change. I downloaded a car. Yes, right here, sir.
All right, let's do this.
Come over. Can I see your log to show all the hours of experience you have to prove that you can take this test? And he says, sure. And he just busts out a screenshot of all the hours that he's logged into Mario Kart Wii U. And they accept it, and they let him take the test. And
Perfect.
He plugs in his Xbox controller into the USB port.
Exactly. He gets in the car. They're like, all right, hands on 10 and 2. And he's like, they're already there. And she's like, I don't see your hands on the wheel. He's like, no, this is the wheel. And then he holds up the Xbox controller. He plugs it in, and they say, well, what the heck's going on? And then Agent Cody Banks style, because I love that movie, this man starts driving up a storm through.
And the lady's freaking out, and she's like, whoa, whoa, as they start driving around, going 100 miles around this really nice Italian sort of little vista. And they end, and her sort of like hair is falling off on one side, and you just see her hit the little check mark, and he gets his license. And that's the end of the story.
And then Hillary Duff comes out and is like, I'm going to invite you to my birthday party.
What are you referencing now?
Still Cody Banks. It's still Cody Banks.
Still Cody Banks, where she comes out after a driving scene and says, I'm going to invite you to my birthday party.
Speaking of help, it would help me a lot, Will, if you would ask another question.
If I ask another question?
Yeah.
That's a really good idea, but I'm going to say no, because I want to talk really quick about some stuff.
Aw, nuts.
Little stuff. We just want to let you know, once again, just a little reminder, you should check us out. You really should, on pretty much every platform you're available to. You never know what new stuff you're going to find, because you can check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. And the nice thing about YouTube is, yes, it is in video format, and it's mostly audio, but we have actually segmented a lot of our different bits. So in case you ever wanted to show something to any of your friends, for every episode, we've actually put up each question individually, where you can see them cut into specific videos. You can send that to a friend, and they can see a really funny question that you really liked, and that could be a way to introduce them to the podcast. Also, we would ask that you would rate and review us. There are subscribe and follow options on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. That would be really great. If you like the show, give us a rate and review. Tell us that you enjoy it. That really helps us get seen, but more than anything, the way that we get seen is through word of mouth. Please tell your friends if you think it's funny, if you think that even if you're just friends of us and you're like, man, that's cool, I got a friend who does a podcast, please just don't be afraid to tell the next person, like many of you have probably seen me walking around in public places saying, hey, have you seen this? I know that I haven't talked to you in 6 months, but man, do I have a podcast. Yeah.
That's exactly the point, is this entire show exists because of you guys and your interaction with it. Literally the past 2 or 3 episodes have been as strong as they have been because of the questions that we've been getting from you. As you can tell from this episode alone, this episode's been fantastic because of questions that we've been getting from people that are sending in questions. You guys sharing this around and whatnot is what makes this show exactly what it is. And if you want to send us questions, you can email us your questions. This is the easiest way to possibly get me your questions, or Will your questions if you don't know us personally. Email us your questions at saveyourbaconpodcast@gmail.com. That is saveyourbaconpodcast@gmail.com. Also,
You're so good at that.
Also, we have a Twitter and Instagram. Both of those handles are at Zane and Will. And if you DM us through there or send us a message through there, you can use the hashtags SaveYourBacon or hashtag Zane and Will, so we can find you a lot quicker and easier. Again, we'll check both and everything all the time. It's probably easiest to send it through email, but we have a lot of different ways that you could get to us.
Fantastic. I'm going to turn that no into a yes, and I'm going to give you that question you were begging for.
Thank you.
Sound good? Yeah, all right. This one comes from Mac Daddy Moron. Thank you so much. Mac Daddy sent us some advice last week, and she sent us in a doozy of a question this week that I'm
ready.
very much looking forward to. All right. Big breath. Hello. I am a college student, and I am in need of some advice. I recently have been greatly conflicted. With the current political climate of government shutdowns and just general cultural unrest, I have some dilemmas that have greatly affected my life. Being a college student, I'm aware of the amount of privilege that I have in my life, and I know that there are a lot of issues that are way more prevalent than the trials that are swarming my status quo. I am currently struggling in one of my classes. This is where we get into what it's actually about. This class is a writing intensive course, and although I am very skilled with my fingers and a screen, APA formatting is leaving me on a bus, consumed with struggle. When I consult my fellow scholars about advice on what to do, they all encourage me to have a meeting with my professor. Although I have the privilege to attend a nice college, my home has never been what many would consider full of daddy's money. I work very hard to be able to grow my wealth of knowledge. At this point, you're probably wondering what my problem is. And, well, let me tell you. My course professor's name is Dr. Johnson. Hear that? Doctor. The APA idiot known as me doesn't have good health care insurance. How the heck am I supposed to make a doctor appointment without adequate health care insurance? Is there a quick, fast way to get the insurance I need? Or should I just take the L and maybe fail this APA assignment? Please let me know ASAP. Also, if either of you are APA experts, assistance would be great.
Okay, wait, there's one really big important thing out of all of this that I love, and that is, even though you're saying, they're your teacher, but then you're going to have to make an appointment with them as they are a doctor, I also love that you say that you have the privilege of getting to be around them, because that's true. If you don't have the good health insurance to be around them when they're a doctor, of course you got the privilege to be around them when they are a teacher. And we know it's a very different situation. Because if you're with, let's say, Michael Jordan is a teacher, okay? Great. He's a teacher, whatever. People don't care about teachers. But if you're talking about Michael Jordan, the basketball player, or Michael Jordan, the villain in Black Panther, is up for Best Picture in the Oscars,
or now, Michael Jordan, the doctor.
Or Michael Jordan, the doctor? Dr. Michael Jordan? That is a whole new story. Obviously, you can't just walk up and... If you know a person, great. But if they're doing their thing and you walk up to them, they're going to say, whoa, do you have a permit to be here? Show me your VIP ticket. And what I
otherwise known as health insurance. I think I see where you're going here on just the idea that it's very nice of you to appreciate the status quo that has been created by your teacher, not only just being a teacher, but being a doctor. And they are put on a level in which you need to know that you respect. In the same way that, yes, I give respect for Michael Jordan. But if he said, hello, nice to meet you, my name is Dr. Michael Jordan, I'd be like, oh, man, bow down before the... doctor, because that's a very important and good thing.
It just hit me. This is so freaking obvious. Have him teach you how to be a doctor. Have him teach you how to be a doctor. It's
Dr.
so
Johnson?
Easy. Yes. No.
Or Dr. Jordan?
No, Mr. Jordan.
Wait,
Mr. Michael
Johnson,
Jordan when he is a teacher.
Mr. Michael Jordan. Okay, not the one in the story, not Dr. Johnson.
This is not. This is a complete.
You should have picked a name that is a little bit farther away from Johnson.
Mr. Magic Johnson. It's the same.
Oh no.
Whichever one you want to go with. No
Dr.
matter what,
Magic
go up to your
Johnson.
teacher and say, "Teach, you're doing a great thing teach-wise. I know you're also a doctor. Hey, maybe lay a little of that doc magic on me, but like in teacher style." And he'd be like, "Are you trying to say that you're wanting to talk to me as a doctor? Because I'm gonna need to see some. I'm gonna need to see some insurance for that." And you say, "No. I'm not crazy. I know I'm privileged, but I'm not that privileged. Please, teach me how to doc it up. You know, what is up, doc?" That's the way that bunny says it that one time. Now,
Yeah.
all of a sudden, he'll teach you the in and outs of the scalpel, of the heart tubes, of the brain wave, and it's pretty much all just marine biology, but also a little bit gross words.
Yeah, and you know, for the APA format portion of this question, I say as soon as you're in, as soon as you get in with the teacher, while you're learning all these things, you can also ask, "Hey, by the way, could you check out my APA bone? Because it's hurting. It's not doing well. My APA node is really killing me. And I could use some help on this front as well, as long as you're doctoring."
Teach, you were teaching so hard back there that I sprained my APA membrane, and
Yeah.
it's and it's giving me such a the
It's giving me
citation
such a-
migraine in my head is ridiculous. Could you please look into that for me? Maybe give me a CAT scan, or maybe a what's the machine called? Was that the CAT scan, or did I mess this up already?
Yeah, you got it.
MRI? Could you give me an MRI?
Oh, we're so smart. We did it.
He will say in that moment, because this came from you learning from me as in teach form. You know, like, this is going to be off topic for everybody and no one's going to get this. You know how in Yu-Gi-Oh! He has his boy form and then his dueling form. It's kind of like that.
It's just like that.
So does this happen to you? While I was in my boy Yugi form, I will give you this MRI on your APA bone. And you can say, "Oh, gee, you the best, Teach." Plus, now you know how to doctor it up. So it's 2 for 1.
Got the APA bone fixed. You got it doctored up all at the same time without needing good health care.
May not have good health insurance, but now you have a doctorate.
Congratulations. I hope we helped.
All right, I got a question that has pretty much no context coming from Reddit user Swimmin' Buns, but it's spelled SWMNBNS, Swimmin' Buns. And the question is, what type of shoe would be most practical during an apocalypse? The little bit of description says, for survival purposes, something durable and multi-purpose.
My first thought, steel-toed boot. I was about to say steel-toed boo, but that wasn't it. I want the steel-toed boot, and I'm going to create an acronym for it. It is the STB. That sounds bad.
It does.
That sounds bad.
It's very
the
close.
Steel-toed boot. I'm just going to power through the name each time.
I don't think
the
powering through
STB.
STBs is a good idea, Will.
It's powerful. It's strong. It's probably brown, so you can't get it dirty. It's gonna last you at least a year, and you can always stock up on more because they gonna be good hiking boots for the most part. You don't get the construction kinds. You get the hiking kinds.
Are they weapons? Are they weapon of choice?
Oh yeah, you can stomp some zombie heads with those steel toes, and you can kick someone's legs hard with steel. I think it works in that way. What do you think?
I've heard good things, mainly from my friend Will. He sold me on them.
He pretty much sold you on the STBs.
My friend Will gave me some STBs during the apocalypse.
Contracted some STBs from Will during the apocalypse.
I've been racing back and forth in my head on what shoe would be best here. Because
What'd you go
sneakers sound good, because you could outrun all the danger. High heels sound good, because You could stick yourself into the ground. Let's say there's like a massive wave or earthquake or whatnot that's throwing everybody.
Just hold on tight.
Let's say the apocalypse is that gravity gives out. You just go, and all of a sudden you're not floating anywhere.
In case you're wondering what that audio was, that was him sticking the heels of these high heels into asphalt or cement, maybe.
Definitely was just thinking nice, good old dirt, but that sounds way nice. Way nicer. Let's say you have cowboy boots. Then that's fine if you die. But I was thinking...
Yeah,
but
we won't jump down that vein any further.
What it all comes back to in my head is, what would be the cockroach of shoes in this situation? Because cockroaches are supposed to be believed that they would survive like a nuclear apocalypse, right? That they would survive. I'm thinking Crocs.
Is this the Chacos? Is this the Crocs? I was going to say that too. Is this the Allbirds?
I think Crocs would survive the apocalypse. And what I'm getting at here is not what shoe is like the most practical for your feet. What shoe is most practical for your entire being? And what I'm really meaning in this situation is not just wear Croc, live in Croc.
I have several friends who live in Croc, and I feel like their existence is torment, Zane, and they are not living in the apocalypse. They are going day to day with their 6 pairs of Crocs that they decide to just rotate in and out of.
Why? Wait a minute. Cut off. Why 6? Okay, I mean, there's a very specific reason I ask this. Now, 1 pair of shoes that's not going to break at any point in time, great. 2 pairs for colors. 3 pairs because maybe one's dirty. 4 pairs, you're insane. 5 pairs, stop doing this to yourself. 6 pairs, I don't want to know you. If you don't go 7, if you don't give yourself 1 for every day, and you stop and there's one day that for some reason you go barefoot out in the world, why did you do this?
Yeah, 6 is outrageous. But, I mean, the idea is, like, first off, colors. You want one that matches every single outfit you could possibly wear. And then my response is usually, well, here's the thing. It looks bad with all your outfits. So I'm not really concerned about what colors you're wearing. But the thing is, they're just like, well, it's comfy and they're durable. And like the last pair was actually picked up because turns out Crocs makes nursing shoes as well. And I have nursing student friends who are Croc fanatics, and they now have Croc nursing shoes. But here's the thing. I've been in like long walks, like go to like a big city or something, walk around with a friend in Crocs. They're not doing well after 6 miles. I'll tell you that. I wore my tennies and I'm doing okay. Them and the Crocs need to sit. And if we're looking at the stat line for apocalypse days, kick power 0 for Crocs. Water resistant power 0. That stuff going right through. Bite resistant from other men or zombies trying to bite through to your toes. 0. It's sponge. They're biting through a sponge. A nail is on the ground. A sharp object, glass, right through the Crocs. Sorry, Crocs. You didn't make the cut for me.
So what I've done is I have gone on zombiepedia.com.
Oh, good.
And found their already made page of what the best shoes during a zombie apocalypse would be.
Number 1, STB.
Here we've got the sport boots. Sport boots. These are a rather interesting category, even though it's one category. Sports shoes will either be cleats or bowling shoes for the most part. Cleats are somewhat useful in muddy terrain because of their spiky soles, but are not good for any other terrain. Bowling shoes are a joke with their tight construction, flimsy materials, and smooth, thin soles. So, the only kind of sport boots you should consider are the various types of biking boots, which are often made of leather, Gore-Tex, or synthetic materials.
Now that we've gotten through every type of shoes, including bowling shoes and cleats, what's the number 1?
These things are custom built to withstand wear and tear, and some even have steel or hard plastic toes and shin plates to cushion blunt damage, stabbing objects, and blades. What's the difference between a stabbing object and a blade?
It can withstand stabs and blades that stab.
When they say
what is this shoe? What is this shoe?
Oh God, it's a pair of sports boots. That's what they're called.
Sports boots? What sports are you wearing boots in?
If you can't get hiking or combat boots, get a pair of these bad boys. You may not be able to run for a long time in them, as they are stiff, but they're very durable for their reasonable weight.
It's like wearing the full plate armor rather than like the leather armor. Sorry, I just got super nerdy, but yeah. Hey, you want me to give a last question for us?
Absolutely.
I'm gonna do that then. This question comes from Maddie Borner. Thanks so much, Maddie Borner.
Thank
we
you.
appreciate you. The question asks, how did you two meet, and when did you realize that you were going to be friends? I thought this one was interesting and kind.
Is it sweeter if I remember exactly when we met?
Aw, yes. I think you should say it.
We met in varsity choir. It was the first day, and I sat next to two boys that ended up being my pals for the rest of the time that they were there, named Will Palumbo and Alex Howe. And we were all tenor boys, because we all had high voices, except mine was high because I was a small boy, and theirs was high because they were talented. And I learned many things from these boys, such as how to wear sweaters, how to wear shoes without socks, how to...
We are not good role models.
When did I learn that that I was going to be friends with Will? There was a time that I went over to Will's house, and we were playing ping pong, and he started blasting the song that had just come out called Radioactive by Imagine Dragons.
Oh my
and then,
gosh.
Well, he was in
I feel ancient. I'm 23 and I've never felt older.
When he was in the bathroom, Alex Howe and I hid his favorite ping pong paddle in the ceiling, and we didn't tell him where we put it. And it ended up being
so mad.
The messiest day of, I think, the whole friendship that we had. It was wonderful.
What do you mean? What did we do after the ping pong paddle was hidden?
I
don't remember that much.
The day that the ping pong paddle was hidden was also the day that I learned that you kept a really big knife in your room.
Oh, yeah. That was... Wait. Which big... I've had a couple big knives, and I'm not even really a knife person. I don't really consider myself like a hyper-masculine fellow, but I mean, I have a big machete that I've said I didn't have for a couple different things, and that was from a camping trip. It's all rusty and not good. I have my grandfather's hatchet in my car, and then somewhere I have a big knife. Yeah, and I think that's the one you're talking about.
There are a couple of moments that you can just tell that you're going to be friends with a guy, and there was a time that we, with another friend of ours, Ryan, found a way to pick the lock to backstage for the theater room, and I was going to talk about this on another idea that I had. Backstage, we picked the lock, and we set up a GameCube backstage so that we could play Smash Bros.
Oh boy, that was a unifying moment.
While play musical practice was going on, and we didn't tell the people running the musical or play that we had set it up.
Backstage manager, yeah.
Which was wonderful. That's the kind of stuff that that's when I was like, oh, I'm finally with people that are willing to take risks and not being boring people.
Yeah, that was one of those moments when I realized how much teen angst I had in me for, like, seeing some sort of injustice that doesn't matter at all because the stage manager was like, this is my domain. How dare you put a GameCube in it in the lounge area? And I was like, man, that's so messed up. And I was so riled about it. And I think through stuff like that and through breaking into different high school places that we weren't supposed to be in, we definitely created that. I think also, yeah, like you said, like the video sketches, how many comedy sketches we made that we look back and we cringe so hard, but we're so glad that they're there and that we don't have any video evidence of them anymore. And then they're not capable of people to laugh at and look at how dumb we were when we were 16 and 15 years old. But yeah, I also remember how did the two of us meet was, varsity choir, and then we had the same phone. And the phone thing has been like a reoccurring thing for us because we had the Galaxy Note 2, I believe, was the first one we had. And then, and that was my junior year of high school. And then by the time I went to college, without us talking about it, we both got the Note 4, and that's not so crazy. But then after that, we both switched to the same iPhone, and so it's always just been like an unspoken thing of we just know that we're always going to get the exact same phone, and that's a small insignificant detail to most people, but something that I knew from the very start of like, oh, this is the only other person who has this terrible crappy phone that I said that I was going to get because of this dumb little stylus that pokes out of the bottom.
Exactly why I got it.
Yeah. But yeah, good question. Thank you for asking. It's always cool to just ask stuff like that, even if it isn't particular advice. But yeah, a little bit more serious ending, but there we go. Thank you so much, Maddie, and thank you to everybody who made it this far. This is the end of our podcast. We appreciate you so much for tuning into episode 5. We already listed everywhere you can find us. We hope to continue interacting with you all. Send us in your questions.
Just honestly, anything that you do to spread the word around, or whether it's you just telling a friend or it's you sending us a question and getting involved, because we're not just doing this show for we have to for some reason. We're doing this show because it is fun, and it stays fun when we know that people that we know want to interact with it and love hearing their ideas become a part of the conversation in the entire thing, because then you can share it and be like, this, oh, listen, I sent this and this was hilarious, listen to this, you're gonna love this, because then all of a sudden you're a part of the entire thing. It's literally just like turning on the TV, turning on an episode of a show that you like and being like, I wrote this episode, because you genuinely did. You're a co-writer because the question came from you. So it's wonderful. Any time that you guys get involved with anything is absolutely wonderful.
Yeah, it's an absolute joy. We appreciate everything. We do it for the just the love of it. So yeah, thank you so much, guys. It's been great. Thank you for tuning in. Thanks for listening, getting this far. Hope you have a great rest of your week. This has been Save Your Bacon. Good night.